Have you ever stopped and wondered if there's a bigger reason for all of this? A grand purpose for our existence? Maybe even a mission that's woven into the very fabric of reality? Well, according to some really deep Hasidic teachings, the answer is a resounding yes. And today, we're going to explore this profound idea about why we are all here.
So our story kicks off with this beautiful verse from the Song of Songs. But here's the thing, it's not just poetry. This is actually a description of how the world was in its original state. The idea is that the divine presence wasn't in some far-off heaven, it was right here. This world was its perfect harmonious garden.
But let's be real, that's not the world we live in today, is it? What was once totally open and manifest is now hidden. That garden has become a place of struggle, of concealment. So the big question is, what happened? What on earth changed to cause such a dramatic shift?
To get that answer, we've got to go back to the first chapter of this cosmic story, the loss of that original garden. And here's the twist. That loss is what actually created the very mission we're all here to accomplish.
I want you to just try and imagine a reality where spirituality and physicality were perfectly one. The divine energy, what's called the Shechinah, was just openly felt everywhere. There was no split between what was holy and what was, just normal and mundane. The world was, quite literally, God's home.
Then, things started to go wrong. A series of what you could call spiritual missteps began. Starting with Adam's sin, each major negative event pushed that divine presence further and further away. Now, this wasn't some kind of punishment, it was more like a direct consequence, a natural withdrawal. With each action, the presence moved one level higher, from Adam to Cain, through the generation of Enosh, the flood, the Tower of Babel, all the way until it was 7 heavens removed from our world.
But that is not where the story ends, not even close. A counter-movement began, led by 7 incredible patriarchs. Each one of them, through their life's work, started pulling the Shechinah back down, step by step. Abraham brought it from the 7th heaven down to the 6th. Then Isaac, then Jacob, Levi, and so on, each one bringing it one level closer to home. And this all culminated with the 7th, Moses, who brought the divine presence all the way back down to earth.
Okay, so we've got this epic cosmic drama of withdrawal and return. But why? Why did any of this have to happen in the first place? And this, right here, brings us to the absolute core reason, the ultimate desire behind all of creation.
The whole concept is called Dera Beitachtem. It translates to a dwelling in the lowest worlds. And I want you to pay close attention to that word lowest. See, the ultimate goal isn't for us to escape to some high-up spiritual paradise. The goal is to make this world, this physical, messy, sometimes really challenging world, into a home for the divine. And of course, that leads us to the most important question of all. Why here? Why would an infinite, perfect being want a home in the one place that seems the absolute furthest from it? A place that's defined by physical limitations and, well, spiritual darkness?
The answer is really profound. This desire is described as being above reason. Think about it. By making a home in the place of ultimate otherness, our physical reality, it shows a kind of connection that is absolute, that is totally unconditional. Anyone can feel at home in a beautiful palace. But to make a true home in the farthest, most rugged outpost, that reveals the true essence of the king.
All right, so if that's the mission, to build a home for the divine right here, how in the world do we do it? Well, we've been given a kind of spiritual toolkit, 2 main ways to transform this world and make that desire a reality. The texts often use the analogy of an army, Tzivos Hashem. The point is, we aren't just passive spectators in this cosmic story. We are active agents, spiritual soldiers really, tasked with fighting a battle to reclaim and elevate the reality all around us. The first tool in our toolkit is called et kafia, which means subjugation. This is the direct fight. It's the spiritual grit to just say no to temptation, to actively push back against negativity, and to conquer the parts of ourselves and our world that resist holiness. This is about winning the battle. But then there's a higher level, and it's called ethapcha, or transformation. This is way beyond just pushing darkness away. It's about converting it. It's about taking the very energy of a challenge, of a struggle, maybe even a past mistake, and turning its actual substance into a force for light.
So let's just make sure we're clear on the difference, because it's super important. Ekafia overcomes the challenge. Ethapcha uses the challenge as fuel. One is about winning the territory, the other is about making that territory a willing, integrated part of the kingdom. It's the difference between defeating your enemy and converting them into your most loyal soldier.
Okay, now we can finally put the pieces together and understand the massive twist in this story. That initial loss of the garden, it wasn't a cosmic screw-up. It was a necessary, intentional step in a much, much grander plan. This one phrase is the key that unlocks the whole thing. Every descent is for the sake of a greater ascent. What that means is that every step back, every challenge, every dip into darkness, it's not the end. It's a setup for a leap forward, to a place even higher than where we started.
So here it is, the core insight. The withdrawal of the divine presence was done on purpose. It had to happen to create this world of concealment and challenge, because that struggle is the very condition that allows for our transformative work. Think about it. Without the darkness, how could we ever create our own light?
So you can really see this whole thing as a four-step cosmic blueprint. First, you have the original state, that perfect but kind of static garden. Then comes the descent, that necessary withdrawal that creates potential. That enables our human work, right? The struggle and transformation. And all of that leads to the final stage, an ascent to a totally new reality, one that is so much greater because we helped build it. It wasn't just handed to us.
So what does this final, transformed reality actually look like? Well, the prophecies describe a future that is almost impossible for us to imagine. A world that we are building, brick by spiritual brick, through all our collective work. The ultimate goal is a world where, as the prophet Isaiah says, all flesh shall see together. And that's not a metaphor. It means not just the soul, not just the mystics, but physical reality itself. Our very flesh will openly radiate divinity. The concealment will just be, gone. And the descriptions of this future get even more incredible. Get this. The physical body will literally be nourished directly by divine radiance. The darkness and concealment of our world won't just vanish. It'll be transformed into a source of brilliant light. And maybe the most mind-blowing part of all, our past sins and struggles, through this process, will actually become our greatest merits. In fact, the body itself will achieve a level of holiness even higher than the soul.
And this is where this huge cosmic story comes right back down to you and me, right now. What this all means is that our personal struggles, the frustrations, the temptations, the things that challenge us every single day, they're not random, meaningless obstacles. They are the raw material. They are the very darkness we were put here to transform into brilliant light.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. We usually see our struggles as problems we need to get rid of. But what if that's completely backwards? What if your biggest, most persistent struggles are actually your greatest, most profound opportunities to build that divine dwelling right here, right now?